refrigerator Perry and just how hard he hit. And my mama told me homecoming games are the best. On the banks of those late fall, late cartwheel sunsets. I wanted to be just like Jeff Davis when I grew up, tackling Seminoles and Bulldogs, playing football in the mud. So everybody sing Tiger Rag at the top of your lungs, and we'll party like it's 1981. Make those Death Valley lights shine brighter. And for good luck, we got Howard's Rock to beat the hell out of them old Gamecocks. It's a damn good day to be a Clemson Tiger. I feel really sorry for our sisters to the south, 'cause they come up here every other year and get punched in the mouth. Oh, and every home Saturday, it gives us the chills to watch those boys in orange run together down that hill. So everybody sing Tiger Rag at the top of your lungs, and we'll party like it's 1981. Make those Death Valley lights shine brighter. And for good luck, we got Howard's Rock to beat the hell out of them old Gamecocks. It's a damn good day to be a Clemson Tiger. Oh, somewhere up in heaven, Gaines Adams makes a sack, and that old Banks McFadden is the best damn running back. So everybody sing Tiger Rag at the top of your lungs, and we'll party like it's 1981. Make those Death Valley lights shine brighter. And for good luck, we got Howard's Rock to beat the hell out of them old Gamecocks. It's a damn good day to be a Clemson Tiger. It's a damn good day to be a Clemson Tiger. Everybody, damn good day to be a Clemson Tiger. Oh yeah.
Good afternoon, everybody. Pigskin Pete here. Happy Thursday to everybody. And again, I want to thank everybody who's stopping in at this abnormal time to stream. I told you on Tuesday, I've got a crazy couple of weeks, last week and this week, schedule-wise. So I'm doing these streams when I can. And then, of course, this weekend I'll be out of town at the Clemson game. And then hopefully next week we can resume the normal Tuesdays and Thursdays at 4 p.m. and then one primetime college football game, live play-by-play and reaction video every Saturday. I will be adding a couple of streams to make up for some of the ones I've missing these past couple of weeks. So I'm going to be adding a Tuesday night stream for the rest of the college football season, like I did this last Tuesday, for the college football playoff rankings that they release every week. So that should be a lot of fun for that. And I'll also be adding one game next week for NFL. Yes, I've been telling you I'm going to do it all year. Well, I'm finally going to do it. I've been waiting for the Thursday night Carolina Panthers game, and it's next week, and it's against the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I will be doing a live stream for the Carolina Panthers and Pittsburgh Steelers. I think it's on November the 8th, right, at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Also, for anybody who's new here, if you're watching this live or if you're watching this on a replay, please hit the like and the subscribe button. I just went through all the streams and videos I do on a weekly basis, and also people either love me or hate me or somewhere in between. All the more reason to subscribe. You can get on here and tell me how stupid I am. I'm just fine with that, trust me. And yeah, and also anybody who wants to support the show, there's a link in the description to the Patreon page. I really appreciate that. Big shout out to both Billy Dawson and Tiger Nation for being the first two to sign up for that. So thank you in advance for that. Let's see who's in the chat here, and then we'll talk about some football. You mad, bro? I don't know if this is earlier, but he says, skeet, skeet, pigskin Pete. Dennis Wilson, a bunch of rock, rubber, ramp runners. Yes, sir, that's exactly what we are, especially me. Arthur Vandelay, And other Clemson fans, if you need a good laugh, check out my prediction on the Clemson NC State live stream video. Okay, sir, I will. Glow, hello, sir. Christian Ballard, good afternoon to you, sir. Hound Dog. Ryan Stanfield says he's at work. He'll try to watch, but he can't comment. Catfish from the Volunteer Roadshow. Hey, Catfish, man, I just saw the video, I guess it was like an hour ago, of your new truck, and it's sweet. I'll just say that much. And I can tell, I don't know how much those things cost. I know you probably won't say the exact amount, but I'm guessing that thing probably cost about $150. Would be my guess. Maybe more than that. But it's nice, dude. Love the truck. Zach White, good afternoon to you. The Finisher, Syracuse and Buffalo Sports, who is formerly, what was his name before? I forget your name on YouTube before that, but I know who you are, sir, and good afternoon. Let's see, I see a lot of Go Tigers. Syracuse, Buffalo Sports says 6-2, number 19 in the latest college football rankings, ranked for the first time. I'm going to get into that in a minute here, sir. I'm going to talk about the rankings one brief time. I'm going to get into Joel Klatt and my boy Colin Cowherd. The first time I've ever agreed with Colin Cowherd. Joel Klatt's about to have a complete meltdown online because of the rankings. Yeah, I can't believe it's November already. Delta Charlie, good afternoon to you, sir. And the only part of that song that is not accurate is that we, for good luck, we have Howard's Rock. That's not what we wrote the rock for. The best part about that song is that it's not copyrighted, so I can play it on here and not get a copyright strike. That's the best part about that song. What was my opinion on how close Clemson was to losing the Atlantic Division to Syracuse? Listen, I mean, first of all, the Syracuse still has to play more games. They still might not win the Atlantic Division, first of all. I mean, they still might lose another Atlantic game. Other than that, my feelings about them almost losing to Syracuse, period, I'm not happy about that. So forget the division. Yes, please smash the like button. Hold on, let me see what Catfish said here. I think I might have underestimated his. Okay, you can buy a nice house. Okay, I got you. The Finisher says respect our name. All right, I know I'm way behind here. All right, so now we can talk about. Well, first of all, on Tuesday, I normally go over some upcoming games and give my thoughts on, picking against the spread and whether the spread's too much, too little, blah, blah, blah. You get the idea. So I didn't do that Tuesday because it was sort of a impromptu stream. I didn't get any time to prepare for it. I was out of town and got back Monday and just things went crazy. But anyways, I'm going to do that today with some games. I also want to talk about what's the NFL game tonight that I will be watching, the Sports Fury. Oh, it's a bad game. But sometimes when two bad teams play, it's still interesting in the NFL. So I'll definitely be tuning into that. Who is that? The 49ers and the Raiders. Oh, man. Two terrible teams. And before I do any of that, I do want to go ahead and briefly talk about, so I did a video, I guess it was, 3 weeks ago, where I played a clip of a segment of the Colin Cowherd show where he has Joel Klatt on. He has Joel Klatt on like once a week to talk about college football. And that's usually the only information that Colin Cowherd gets on a weekly basis about college football is from Joel Klatt, which is a very bad source to get it from. I'm going off topic here. But anyways, today or yesterday, what's today? Thursday? Yeah, yesterday's segment I watched this morning. And it was shocking to me. 1 second, please. I'm thirsty. I'll see you later, Catfish, man. Have a good day and be safe out there, sir. Yeah, so, okay. So, first of all, Joel Klatt also has his own sort of little online blog thing where he goes. So, the next day he went through on his own little deal, where he agreed and where he disagreed with the committee's rankings and all that. Here's the bottom line. Okay, Joel Klatt hates East Coast teams. He hates Southern teams. So by nature, obviously, he hates Southeastern teams. He doesn't like SEC teams. He gives Alabama their credit because he has to, because you can't consider yourself a professional football analyst and do that for a living and not give Alabama their credit. So he does it for that reason only. But outside of Alabama, he gives nobody else credit. He just now gave Clemson credit this week, even though 3 weeks ago on that same show, he was saying that Notre Dame should be in the playoff if it comes down to Notre Dame and Clemson. Now, all of a sudden, he's saying Clemson's clearly the second best team in the country, and outside of Clemson and Oklahoma, he doesn't think anybody can beat Alabama. Now, he just flip-flopped within 3 weeks there. But the guy's having a complete mental meltdown about spots 19 through 25 in the rankings. Did anybody else see this? If you didn't see it, when you get off the stream here today, just go on Joel Klatt on YouTube or Colin Cowherd has Joel Klatt on college football playoff rankings. It'll come up. But he's having a complete mental meltdown about Syracuse being 19, Virginia Tech. Who was it? Syracuse, NC State, Boston College, and Virginia. Those are the 4 teams between 19 and 25. He's bugging out over who's in between 19 and 25, and he's saying that there should be no ACC teams in that slot. Which, first of all, we can argue till the cows come home about who's between 19 and 30, and who belongs up in the top 25 and who belongs just outside of it. Who cares? Who cares? He's making a case in his crazy, demented mind, because he hates the South so much, that Wisconsin, and who else was it? Michigan State should be in the top 20. Now listen, if you want to say that Wisconsin and Syracuse are on the same sort of level playing field as a team this year, fine, I don't care, whatever, good for you. First of all, I could care less about who's in number 20. But second of all, listen, Wisconsin lost at home to something called BYU, okay? Michigan State lost to Arizona State. Arizona State is one of the worst football programs in America. I don't even know if Arizona State has won another game since they beat Michigan State. So I don't know what the guy's crying about. But does it matter? Here's the other thing. He did his rankings, 1 through 10. I wish I would have written it down. But I remember the top 5 he had. So this should really piss you off if you're an LSU fan or a Georgia fan. First of all, I don't even think he had Georgia in the top 10. I could be wrong about that. He might have had him around 8 or 9. So he had Alabama 1, Clemson 2, which just 3 weeks ago he was saying Clemson won't make the playoffs. Now all of a sudden he's saying that they're the only team that can beat Alabama other than Oklahoma because the guy flip-flops week to week. And then at number 2 he had Clemson. And then number 3 he had Oklahoma. Where did he have LSU? He had LSU 6. He had Alabama, Clemson, Oklahoma, Notre Dame, Michigan, and then LSU. He had LSU number 6. So can somebody explain that to me? How he would have LSU ranked behind Michigan? Well, I'll tell you why. Because the guy's been screaming at the top of his lungs since the beginning of the football season how he thinks that Michigan's the best team in the country and that they're going to win the Big Ten and go to the national title game. And so he's not going to listen. I mean, he's got anyway. Now that wasn't the shocking part that Joel Klatt's a moron or that he gets all in a tiffy and a tizzy, whatever the word is that the kids are saying these days, over who's ranked between 19 and 25, as if anybody cares. The shocking part was that for the first time in my life, Colin Cowherd made sense. Colin Cowherd was like, dude, you're saying that Syracuse is that bad? He's like, who else has played Clemson that tough the past 2 years? He's like, are you telling me that you think that Syracuse wouldn't beat the snot out of Michigan State? He's like, Michigan State's terrible. And he's right. Wisconsin's, they're no good. Wisconsin's no good, people. I'm sorry. They're going to probably end the season with 4 losses. Anyway, I could care less. I could care less about 19 through 25. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but we'll see what you guys are saying here in the comments before we start getting into the. Oh, that was the other thing. His conspiracy theory. Okay, because we all know every conspiracy theorist out there is basically I'm trying not to say anything offensive here, and it's extremely hard for me when I'm talking about Joel Klatt to not say anything offensive. I can't even think of a nice word to say without saying something I shouldn't say. So anyway, he's got this conspiracy that Frank Beamer, because Frank Beamer is on the College Football Playoff Committee board, the former coach of Virginia Tech, that somehow he's manipulating the entire committee and making it so the ACC has more teams in the top 25 than the Big Ten does. I mean, what the hell? Is this guy? Does he really believe that? Does anybody believe that other than him? Yeah, so we'll get into the spread here in a second. Yeah, LSU. P. Digit says no because Virginia Tech isn't in the top 25. I mean, listen, first of all, it's insulting to the rest of the committee members to say that somehow Frank Beamer is somehow the godfather. He's the Tony Soprano of the committee. Have you seen Frank Beamer? The guy can barely stand up or talk. He's got something growing out the side of his head that's the size of a football. What? He's pulling the strings? Come on, people. That committee is full of people with big egos. They're not going to follow Frank Beamer's direction. Joel Klatt's such an idiot. He's entertaining, though, because I love watching stupid people say things and try to convince you that they're not stupid, and that's basically what he does on a daily basis. But anyway. All right, so now, what do I think would be more chaotic? This is Tiger Nate asking this. What do I think would be more chaotic? Alabama losing or Kentucky winning? I don't know. That's a good question, though. I would say probably Alabama losing. That only because everybody thinks that Alabama's unbeatable, and so that would change things. Obviously, that would also put Alabama on the outside looking in. Yeah, I mean they wouldn't be technically out of getting into the playoff. I mean we saw the same thing last year, but it would make it tougher for Alabama, especially since the fact that we have so many undefeated teams still left on the schedule, or in the top five. Notre Dame and Clemson. Notre Dame's the fly in the ointment. So, all right. So let's talk about some of these spreads here today. See how right or wrong. First of all, this has been some of these are very tough. I do have two that I picked out that I consider to be locks. The rest of them are just tough. If you're a heavy bettor, you probably want to lay off this week on some of these bets because they're just. I don't like the lines on them. Let's put it that way. All right, so let's start out with my first lock of the week that I consider to be a lock of the week. It's Syracuse and Wake Forest. Syracuse is only favored by 4 points in this game. I think Syracuse will win by 2 touchdowns. I consider this to be a lock. Wake Forest, they had high hopes at the beginning of the season. I mean, they were a dumpster fire for a long time. Everybody knows that. I mean, they've been one of the worst teams in the ACC for as long as anybody can remember in football. And then they get this coach, who's a really good coach, by the way. Anyway, he has a 5-win season his first year, which is an improvement from where they were. Then he wins 7 games. Then last year he wins 8 games. He's got a winning bowl record against the British. Hell, they beat Texas A&M last year in a bowl game. Anyway, they were trending upwards. Well, this year they just kind of fell apart. I don't know what happened. They had some injuries in the beginning of the year, but you can't. I mean, at a place like Wake Forest, you don't have depth to replace injuries, so it can affect you majorly. Anyway, the point is, their defense is awful. It's one of the worst defenses in America. They give up more points than just about anybody. Okay, and they give up a lot of points even against bad teams. Now, Syracuse is a pretty good offensive team. That's their strength. So I don't understand Wake Forest fired their defensive coordinator like week 4. That's how bad their defense is. If you're at Wake Forest and you're getting fired week 4, you're terrible. That's telling you there's a bad thing going on there. So I don't know. I don't understand why Syracuse is only favored by 4. If I was going to bet one single game this weekend, and if I had $100 that I found on the concrete today, and I said I'm going to put this on a game this weekend, that's the one I'm putting it on, and I'm putting it on Syracuse. I think that Syracuse will beat the crap out of Wake Forest. Okay. On to the next one. I was trying to read some of your comments there. Georgia and Kentucky. That's one of the ones. The two biggest games this week are really ACC games as far as the overall landscape. And then there's other ones that are big too. Northwestern and Michigan. I mean, every game Michigan plays this right now is important. Northwestern and Notre Dame. Every game Notre Dame plays right now is important, right? Because they're one loss away from probably not making it in the playoff because they're not in a conference. So that's another big one. But anyways, Georgia and Kentucky, everyone will have their eyes on this. This game is in Kentucky, I believe. Oh, yes, it is. I know it is. It's at where is it at? Food Lion Field. I don't know where is it at? The Dollar General Stadium. Oh, no, it's Kroger. That's right. It's Kroger Field. Excuse me for that. Georgia is favored by 10 at Kentucky. Now, I will say this, because I've been giving Kentucky hell. I've been giving Kentucky fans hell because really none of them showed up on my channel until a couple of weeks ago. I mean, I don't do basketball predictions. I don't do basketball videos. I mean, if I did that, I'd probably have Kentucky guys all over my channel commenting. But I've never seen a Kentucky fan, not a single one of them on my channel till this year. Now, I'm glad they're here, and I hope they stick around. For all of you that have subscribed and commented, please don't go away if Kentucky loses this week or if they suck next year. All right, just please. I promise I'll be nice. Anyway, Georgia by 10. I think that Kentucky matches up well against Georgia. What I mean by that is Georgia is not great against the run, and Kentucky is very good at the run. At the end of the day, I think it'll take a minor miracle for Kentucky to actually beat Georgia because there's a talent gap the size of the Grand Canyon there. So, yes, I think Georgia will win the game. I think 10 points on the road is too much. So I'd say Georgia wins by less than 10. I mean, I don't know. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, whatever. Anything less than 10. If you're betting it, I put money on Kentucky with the points. Yes, we'll get to that game in a minute. I think good afternoon, Matt Rhodes, by the way, and Richard Neal. So let's see here. The next on the list is Duke and Miami. Now, this is a tough game to figure out, isn't it? So this game is in Miami, which is the only thing Miami's got going for them. I mean, Miami can't win a game on the road. Some would argue that every game is on the road for Miami because their stadium is so far from their campus. I'm just kidding. Here's the problem that Miami's got right now. They don't have an identity. They've sort of lost their mojo. If they did have any, it's gone now. I don't know. It's hard to figure out whether – certainly the fans have given up on Mark Richt, a lot of them, or at least a lot of them online have. I don't know if the players have. I don't know if the assistant coaches have. Anyway, Miami's in a bad place right now. Duke is still trying to win that division and think that they can. I think that they can. Until they play Clemson at the end of the season. That'll probably ruin their chances to win that division. But anyway, Miami's favored by 7. It is in Miami. I'd be willing to bet because Miami is so underwhelming this year that stadium is going to be half empty because they really only fill that stadium up whenever they're playing well, and they're not playing well right now. That will be insult to injury, even more demoralizing to the players whenever the stadium's empty. So I'm picking Duke to cover. Listen, I think Duke might beat Miami. I'm actually leaning towards Duke actually winning the game outright. But how Miami's favored by 7, I don't know. But definitely bet Duke with the points. All right, so next on the list, Boston College and Virginia Tech. Now, I wouldn't bet this game with your money. I definitely wouldn't bet it with mine because I have no friggin' clue. This game's in Virginia Tech. Boston College is favored by a point as a road team. I guess I'm taking Virginia Tech. I don't know. Hell, Boston College, they've got one great player, but the rest of their team just isn't living up to the hype this year. That's another team that I thought might give Clemson a hard time at some point when we play them this year. They're just not. Listen, they're good, but they're not. They're very inconsistent. Same thing with Virginia Tech. I mean, who is Virginia Tech? I mean, are they the Virginia Tech that mauled my Florida State week 1, which isn't hard. We've seen that happen a lot of times. But or are they the Virginia Tech that got beat by Old Dominion? I don't know. I'm taking the home dog in this one. When I don't know, I'm gonna take the underdog at home, and so that's what I'm gonna do here, Virginia Tech. But I wouldn't bet that game, so don't do it. If you do it, let me know the outcome of who you bet and how much money you won or lost. The ACC is miserable this year. I do agree that this year they are is as bad as I've seen them in a decade, for sure. I got into it with on the stream the other night with people about that. I'm not going to go down the ACC road because I don't know. Some people are hard of hearing, and whenever I bring up stats about the ACC over the past 5, 6, 7 years, then they all of a sudden say that I'm saying something that I'm not saying. Well, he's saying the SEC or the ACC is the best conference. I never said that, and I've always said, and I've said over and over again that the ACC is terrible this year. So, but yes, I agree with that part. All right, so next on the list, Oklahoma and Texas Tech. I consider this to be a lock of the week also. If I found another $100 on the sidewalk after I bet on the Syracuse and Wake Forest game, I'd probably go to the bar and buy everybody drinks. But anyway, if I didn't do that, I would bet this game. And I think Oklahoma's favored by 10.5. Texas Tech is terrible. Now, Texas Tech can score, but I mean, if you can imagine how terrible Oklahoma's defense is, times that by 10, and that's how terrible Texas Tech's defense is. And Oklahoma's got the number 1, in my opinion, offense in the country. And people can get on here, yell and scream at me, Alabama's got the number 1 offense in the country. Fine, whatever. Oklahoma can score 1 million points on anybody. That's my point. And 10.5, I'm taking it. I'm taking Oklahoma. I don't care if it's in Texas Tech. Is that supposed to be? Is somebody going to tell me now Texas Tech's a tough place to play? No, it's not. Stop it. All right. Next on the list, West Virginia and Texas. This game's in Texas, and they're favored by less than a field goal, 2.5 points. Who is Texas? Somebody let me know who Texas is. They're the most bipolar football team in America. They beat Oklahoma. They lost to Maryland. Who'd they lose to last week? Another bad team. They're like a yo-yo. It's another game I wouldn't touch. I'm still high on West Virginia, despite the fact that they lost at Iowa State. I think that West Virginia is going to be out there with something to prove, thinking that they can still try to make the playoff. But they need to win out to do that, and I think they'll start by beating Texas this week. So I'd take West Virginia with the points. Delta Charlie says West Virginia by 14. All right, so yeah, everybody looks like here is agreeing. Yeah, Oklahoma State, thank you, LSU fan. Yeah, so it looks like everybody's agreeing that West Virginia is going to win that game, which probably means Texas will, because that's the way Texas is. All right, next on the list. Now, I'm really looking forward to seeing this game. This is, not one of the most important games of the week, compared to Georgia and Kentucky or LSU and Alabama, whatever. I'll be watching this game very closely, though. Notre Dame and Northwestern. Notre Dame's favored by 7 at Northwestern. And here's the story. We'll keep it simple here. Notre Dame has no business losing to Northwestern, okay? Have you guys seen Northwestern Stadium? I'm not even kidding when I say this. This is not a joke. I'm not trolling. I'm not looking for clicks, laughs, or likes, or any of the above. The high school that I went to, I'm pretty sure, almost positive, that they have more seats in their stadium than Northwestern does. Northwestern went out and spent like $80 million or something like that. A shit ton of money on this beautiful athletic facility right on Lake Michigan in Chicago. I mean, the thing's awesome. And you walk out of the $80 million building there that's sweet, and you walk over to the high school stadium. What were they thinking? Listen, spend $40 million on a facility, and then spend $40 million building yourself a new stadium, for Christ's sake. That thing is, I mean, it's pitiful. I mean, it's as bad as Georgia Tech, or maybe worse. It's smaller than Georgia Tech, if that's possible. Anyway, Notre Dame should beat the crap out of Northwestern. Northwestern got drubbed by Duke. Okay? Northwestern got the tar beat out of them by Duke. I will say this, though. Northwestern that was early in the year. That was like week 2. Northwestern also beat Purdue. Go figure that one out. But Northwestern's playing much better football the past few weeks than they were the first few weeks. So you got to factor that in. I'm taking Notre Dame. I'm sorry. I think that Notre Dame is going to beat Northwestern pretty handily. But I would keep an eye on this, though. I mean, this is one of those games. Northwestern is a lot like Syracuse. Okay, they're like one of these sort of badgery teams that can catch you slipping and have a great day and take you down to the wire. So Notre Dame should take this very seriously since it's on the road at a high school stadium. But I'm still taking Notre Dame. If I'm betting any money on it, I'm taking Notre Dame. There's a huge gap there between the way those two teams are playing this year. Anybody disagree with me about this so far? Northwestern's the smallest stadium in the Big Ten. Yeah. What's up, Blake Ellis? How you doing, sir? Comic Dude 45. Welcome to the stream. I'm sure if you're here, you're amazing and fantastic. Otherwise, you would not be here. Somebody keeps texting me. Let me figure out what the hell's going on with that. Make sure it's not an emergency. You know. Yeah. No, not an emergency. Hello, John Neal. Yeah, okay. So next on the list, Texas A&M and Auburn. Good to see you too, sir. Auburn's favored by 6. This game is at Auburn. Another game I don't know how to bet on. I mean, who the hell's Auburn? I thought Auburn was going to actually make a run at a backdoor playoff spot, you know, after a couple weeks. Well, boy, was I wrong about that. I think they're if they're not on a coaching search for this year because they can't afford to buy out Gus Malzahn. They're at least searching for a coach for whatever 2 or 3 years from now, whenever they can afford to buy him out. Anyway, that thing's they're in a terrible spot. Texas A&M lost last week to Mississippi State. A little bit of a head scratcher there. Mississippi State's not a bad team, but I still thought A&M was better. Listen, I'm picking A&M. I don't know about who's going to win the game. Forget about who's going to win the game. As far as the spread goes, I'm picking A&M to either beat Auburn or at least keep it within 3 or 4 or 5 points. 6 points. Auburn being a favorite, I'm not buying it. A&M has covered the spread in close spreads. So, anyway, I'm picking A&M. I don't trust Auburn. I think they're tanking. Wait. They don't tank in college, do they? Not the NFL. They look like they're tanking. All right, so last but not least, the one everybody's been waiting for. Drum roll. LSU and Alabama. We already know how, if you've been watching this channel for more than today, how I feel about who's going to win this game. I mean, I think that the majority of the people in this chat and the majority of people in this country believe that Alabama's going to go undefeated in the regular season, and then that includes me. I told you a long time ago, I have a rule. This rule has served me very well, too. Most of the time. My rule is I don't pick against Alabama ever until they lose a game and prove me wrong. Now, as far as picking against the spread here, 14.5 points is the spread. LSU is going to be the best team Alabama's played. We've all heard for everybody screaming at the top of their lungs, including the LSU players. Go figure that one out. Someone needs to get a hold of these idiots and tell them to shut the hell up. That's the difference between great coaches and good coaches, folks. Nick Saban, Dabo Swinney. You don't hear their players in the media trash-talking other teams before games. Doesn't matter how bad they hate them. Doesn't matter how bad they think they're going to beat them. They don't ever trash-talk the week before a game. You've seen this happen a couple times this year. Well, we saw it. Florida State was out running their mouth about Clemson last week. How'd that turn out for them? Lousville was doing the same thing first week against Alabama. How'd that turn out for them? Well, LSU's players are doing it. And this is a sign of an immature head coach, an inexperienced head coach, and Ed Orgeron. Is Ed Orgeron doing a good job at LSU? Yes, he is. Obviously, he's ranked in the top 4. Hell, he's the top 3 right now in the last part of the season. So, yes, he's doing good. But these are the type of things that you don't see great coaches, championship-winning coaches, you don't see this from their teams. They have complete control over their team. I realize this game is in Death Valley, and that's a hard place to play. I get that. I'm still taking Alabama with the points. I think LSU has a chance to hang with Alabama for 3 quarters, not 4. LSU has what is it? You guys were telling me this on Tuesday. The 84th ranked offense in the country. The 84th. They can't keep up scoring with Alabama. I'm sorry. They can't. Not happening. I see the Alabama pulling away in the fourth quarter and winning this thing by at least 3 touchdowns. Now listen, these are the best defensive backs that Bama's played all year. They might be the best defensive backs in all of America. Okay, I'm not saying LSU's terrible. Their defense is what wins them games. I've been over this. Joe Burrow, he's an upgrade at quarterback, which it's not hard to upgrade at quarterback when you've had terrible quarterback play for a decade. If Zach Mettenberger is like the last good quarterback you had, and he's not even that good, what is that telling you? I mean, that's my point. So it's sort of like if you drive an old rusty Volkswagen from that you've been driving and it doesn't even have any fenders on it. The fenders are hanging off of it. The side mirrors have been broke off of it, right? And then you go and you buy a brand new 2018 Honda Civic. That thing's going to look like a Mercedes to you because what you've been driving for the past 10 years. That's what Joe Burrow is. He's a Honda Civic, a 2018 Honda Civic. And Tua Tagovailoa is a friggin' Bentley. That's the difference. And LSU's cornerbacks can say, well, they haven't seen, cornerbacks like us. Their receivers have been getting wide open. They haven't seen the people that can play man coverage and actually cover them the whole game. Well, I'm sorry to tell you, folks, but if you're an LSU defensive back, you haven't seen anybody like Alabama's wide receivers and their quarterback either. It goes both ways, people. It's not a one-sided deal here. And last but not least, Nick Saban and Ed Orgeron are the 2 head coaches of these 2 football teams. Need I say more? Antonio Brooks, Clemson just started winning. No, you can tell others how to win. Who is that? Is that Nola? Nola, are you back, sir? You change names and come back. You sound just like that retard on here the other day, Nola. I think it's you, incognito. Let's see. I'm trying to catch up on the comments here, guys. I hope LSU wins, but I think LSU will lose. LSU fan. See, I mean, LSU versus Clemson for the title for the real Tigers. That will be a classic matchup. King Super. I can't tell which. Are you a Clemson fan or an LSU fan? You're not giving me any hint there either way, which is fine. Yeah, Joe Burrow said some stuff he shouldn't have said, and I don't know. It must have taken a massive effort on the public relations department at LSU to get those videos taken down, but they were all taken down. But it doesn't matter. Listen, whatever. When you say stuff on the internet, it ain't going nowhere. Believe me, the Alabama players have heard about what he said, and he will pay. Francois needs to transfer. I wouldn't doubt it if he would. He's got 1 year left, I think. Yeah, listen, I hate Florida State. I do. I mean, I hate them with a passion. I hate their fans. I hate their uniforms. I hate their former head coach. I hate their current head coach. I mean, I mean, there's nothing I don't hate about them. I hate everything. But I feel sorry for that kid. I really do. I do feel sorry for that kid. First of all, here's not just because his team's so bad, and he gets demolished on every single play for his entire career there, but he's a good player, and he got recruited by Jimbo Fisher. Jimbo Fisher brings him in there, gives the guy no help. He gets slaughtered, and then Jimbo Fisher, he's out the door. See you later, Francois. I'm going to make $80 million. See you later, buddy. I'm sorry I didn't get you an offensive line, but good luck with that next terrible coach who's not going to get you an offensive line either. I hope you don't tear your other ACL or break your neck even, for Christ's sake. The guy's got the worst luck in football, so I hope he does transfer out of there. I would if I were him. Piece of human garbage, Jimbo Fisher. I don't know who's worse, him or Urban Meyer. What do I think the score will be at the Louisville game? That's this weekend. I will be there. Anybody who's going to be in the greater Clemson area, if that's such a thing. Clemson's not very big, so anyway, if you're going to be at the game on Saturday, let me know. I know some of you are going to be there, and we're going to meet up. I'll let you know where we're tailgating. Anybody who wants to come and say hello, feel welcome to do that. As far as the score goes, the line is 37, I think. Oh, man. I think Clemson can beat them by as much as they want to. Let's put it that way. I mean, Louisville's got no offense or defense. I mean, they're just an absolute dumpster fire. They might be worse than Florida State if that's possible. Hell, Florida State beat them. So they are worse than Florida State. I mean, hell, I don't know, 60 to... It's going to be about the same as Florida State. Whatever. 55 to 14, 60 to 10, something like that. I mean, we might not even see Trevor Lawrence make it past the first half. We might see Chase Bryson and the second string offense in there and defense starting in the third quarter, depending on how out of hand things get in the first half. So. I forget the exact words of what Joe Burrow said. Basically, doing what these guys do and guaranteeing wins, and just saying that Alabama's overrated and they haven't played anybody, and we're more battle tested and we're not scared of them. All the same crap. They all say it's like a broken record week to week. It's a different team that does it to either Alabama or Clemson or one of these other really good teams in the country. I mean, if I were Ed Orgeron, I would have started this as soon as their last game ended. Hell, they've had a bye, haven't they? They've had a whole week. As soon as they played their last game before the Alabama game coming up, I would have held a team meeting and said before any single one of you that talks to the media or gets on social media or talks to a reporter or whatever, anywhere in public record, and says anything negative about the Alabama football team, I'm not playing you in that game. You will be benched. That's what I would say. And I guarantee you that's a rule with Nick Saban and Dabo Swinney because you will not hear it. You won't hear a peep. Now, after the game is a different story. After the game, Clemson players will talk trash after they've demolished them. Or I'm saying to Alabama, like, yeah, we knew we were going to do that. They suck, blah, 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 whatever. But you'll never hear it before the game because you don't want to give anybody any bulletin board material. And on top of that, if you do get your ass handed to you, it just makes you look stupid. And it makes your coaches look stupid. As if they don't have any control over you, you know? So, yeah, but anyway, that's the difference. That's the difference between somebody like Ed Orgeron and Saban. There's certain teams out there, you just don't want to poke them. I mean, Alabama, this is Nick Saban, you're giving him fuel. You're giving these players fuel. When they feel like that there's nothing to play for, that they're so much better than everybody else, and everyone's saying they're overrated and they suck. And then you have the other team coming out and just poking you and giving you motivation. You don't want to motivate Alabama. You don't want to motivate Clemson to hurt you worse than they already probably are going to. It's not very smart. We could have 3 or 4 100-yard rushers. Delta Charlie, yes, yeah, that is possible. Listen, I mean, LSU, the only way they're going to win this game, because it's not going to be on offense. Shit. Breaking stuff. Sorry. It's not going to be on offense, right? That's not going to happen. They're going to have to play the best game they've played all year on defense and limit Alabama's scoring, and they're going to have to get a pick six, a fumble recovery for a touchdown. They're going to have to get a couple of defensive scores and maybe a run, a punt return or a kick return for a touchdown, something like that. There's going to have to be points scored outside of the offense for LSU to keep this thing close. If all their points come on offense, it's not happening. Game over. Hold on, let me go back up here. Wait, who's Clemson playing? Louisville. The terrible, terrible team. Mike the Tiger 24 TB. I read a Q&A from Burrow, and unless I missed it, he didn't say Bama was overrated. All he said was that they weren't afraid of anyone. Don't see anything wrong with that. Mike the Tiger, no, that's not what I know what you're talking about. That's not the same one. There was a that's the one that's you can go find on right now. If you go on YouTube, it's when they get interviewed at LSU by the LSU press and they post it on YouTube or whatever, like for Clemson, they have Tiger Net, and it's the Tiger Net covers Tiger Sports, Clemson Sports. Well, that's the one you're talking about for LSU. I don't know what the name of that media outlet is, but this wasn't that. This was some sort of off. Maybe it was supposed to be off the record. I don't know. It wasn't official in front of a camera type thing, but it was recorded and it was posted, and then it was later taken down. And I also think it may have been something on social media that was posted that was also taken down, where he did say those things. So I'm sure he got a talking to after that. I don't doubt it. Clemson plays so good at home because they touch a magic rock. Yeah. Yeah, it was a dumb thing to say. Yeah. So, anyway, listen, guys, I got to go. Like I told you, my schedule's been crazy today. I want to thank everybody for stopping in. I really appreciate it. If you're new here, please hit the like and subscribe button. I do, well, all year round, every week, all year round, even outside of football season, I'm posting college football videos, and of course now I do a couple of live streams a week. Normally, when things aren't crazy, I have 2 scheduled streams on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 4 p.m. for 1 hour. This week I've done it earlier just because of my schedule. I also do live play-by-play and reaction video every single weekend for a primetime college football game. I'm not doing one this weekend because I'm going to a college football game, but I will be streaming from there with Bobby Durkins. Anybody who's a Clemson fan or a Bobby Durkins fan even in here, we will be linking up this week and doing some material together live from Clemson. So really looking forward to that on Saturday afternoon. What else? Anybody who wants to support the show, please hit the link in the description for the Patreon page. I want to give a special shout out and huge thank you to Billy Dawson and Tiger Nation for being the first 2 to sign up for that. I've had some people ask me about the super chat feature. That should be enabled soon as YouTube gets done reviewing my channel. They said that'll take about 30 days, and that's been about a week now. So whatever, it'll be there in a few weeks for anybody who wants to donate that way. That's fine too. Anyway, outside of that, I want to thank all the moderators. I want to thank all the commenters. I want to thank even the LSU fans who clearly hate me by now for stopping in. I appreciate every single one of you. Even the idiots like Nola, who we'll probably see again here soon. Anybody, or everybody rather, tell everybody about the Pigskin Pete YouTube channel. Tell your friends, tell your wives, tell her to tell her friends, tell her to tell them to tell their boyfriends. Shout it out from a mountaintop. Tattoo it on your forehead, but if you tattoo it on your forehead, make sure you tattoo it backwards so that when you look in the mirror, it reads correctly. And I guess that's it. Yeah, that's it. Thank you for stopping in, everybody. Have a great day. Pigskin Pete checking out.